Okay, so our meeting is now being recorded. So let's go ahead and get started. So we are going to have we are joined by our lovely panel today. We are going to have each of our panelists spend about 10 minutes walking through their personal experience working in the construction industry. They're going to talk about strategies that they use to recruit female pre-apprentices and then how they support them as they're going through their apprenticeship program on the way to becoming a journeywoman. So as I said, they're each going to spend about 10 minutes, and then we're going to wrap the session with a Q&A period. So throughout the session, if you have questions, please feel free to throw them in the chat. I will collect them, and then I will add them to our list of questions that we have for the Q&A period. So without further ado, let's go ahead and meet our panel. So our first panelist is going to be Dominique Jones. Hi, Dominique. Thank you for joining us. So Dominique is the executive director of Tools Up Foundation. She has over 10 years of experience with the construction industry. She is the founder of the CEO of D. Jones Construction, which is a general construction firm, and Jones Development, a real estate development and investment firm. After seeing firsthand the major lack of diversity within the construction industry, she vowed to create a revolving door of skilled professionals that look like her through the Tools Up Foundation. She is also heavily involved in the foundation by being an active mentor and instructor. And as an Illinois Works Pre-Apprenticeship Program grantee, Tools Up will serve 32 individuals this year. So thank you so much for joining us, Dominique. Our second panelist is Renee Jones, who is the program director for Chicago Women in Trades. And after attending university, her passion as an advocate and public servant pushed her into the social services field. It was during that time that she volunteered with Habitat for Humanity, where her passion for working with her hands and in construction was born. Soon after, she attended a pre-apprentice training program, which was her introduction to jobs in the male-dominated construction industry. She worked as a conductor at the railroad while she awaited selection for the electrician's apprenticeship. But once she was called up for the apprenticeship, she stuck with it, becoming a journeywoman electrician and working in the field for 16 years. Today, she combines her passion for serving others and her wealth of experience in the field as the program director for Chicago Women in Trades, where she is actively cultivating the next generation of journeywomen. As an Illinois Works Pre-Apprentice Program grantee, Chicago Women in Trades will serve 50 individuals this year. Thank you, Renee, for joining us. And last but certainly not least is Melverda Wilkins. Melverda is the CEO of Sister Girls and Friends in Decatur, Illinois. Sister Girls and Friends, Inc. was founded in 2013 with the goal of building positive families and structures, decreasing poverty, and adding value to the lives of others with a positive community of excellence. Melverda worked at Caterpillar Inc. for 20 years in various roles, retiring in 2013 as a product change engineer. She also holds a Bachelor's of Science in Organizational Leadership, an MBA and certificate in Supply Chain Management, and a master's degree in Training and Development. Through her work at Sister Girls and Friends, Inc., Melverda combines her academic training, deep understanding of the needs of those in the construction field, and her passion to cultivate strong women and girls. As an Illinois Works Pre-Apprenticeship Program grantee, Sister Girls and Friends will serve 50 individuals this year. So welcome, Melverda. And thank you, all three of you, for attending. Thank you all again for attending our session. And we are going to go ahead and get started. I will hand it off to Dominique to lead our session.
Thank you, Christine, for that introduction. And thank you to everyone for joining this Lunch and Learn. So Christine already mentioned a little bit of who I am. I'm Dominique Jones. I am the director of Tools Up Foundation and founder and CEO of D. Jones Construction. My experience in the construction industry started with my education. I went to Eastern Illinois University and that's where I obtained my degree in construction management. From day one, I knew that this industry would be unusual for someone who looks like me, but I thank God for my professor that I had in my first construction class for telling me that this industry is looking for you. And he said that you will face adversity, but if you make it through all the difficulties and all the challenges that come your way, you will shine in this industry. So I always kept that positivity in the back of my mind while going throughout my journey throughout the construction industry. Because although the construction industry is not all bad, but it's also not all good. You know, you just have to be realistic about that. But I have learned to take the bad and just turn it into good. And I'm so thankful that the people who did believe in me, their voices were a lot louder than the people who tried to discourage me from this industry. I feel as though programs such as the Illinois Works grant program is very important to retain female apprentices and also female just workers in the construction industry in general, because these programs, they offer exposure. A lot of times women, they don't even know the different career paths that they could take within the construction industry because they don't see a lot of us. So I feel as though these programs just offer exposure, like, hey, we're here and we're growing and we're here to stay. And I believe that that's what is most important, is to see it, to believe it, and that's what's going to keep them here. And also just being authentic and sharing our experiences and just giving them all the resources that we didn't have to help them stay here. So that's my little intro, and I'm going to go ahead and turn it over to Renee Jones, and she'll take it from here.
Hi, good afternoon, everyone. I was introduced as Renee Jones, Chicago Women in Trades Program Director. I happen, as Christine mentioned, into the field of construction. First, I did go to university and graduate, and I was working in social service. I volunteered for, and the things that was happening then are happening now. I don't women, particularly people of color and people in the low income communities, have this option of knowledge about what construction is. So I got it because at volunteering with Habitat for Humanity, I worked alongside some electricians that was volunteering, and they told me about the apprenticeship program. I thought nothing about it at the time because I was working as a social service advocate for the community and enjoyed that field of work. But when there was a point in my life where I reflected on that 2 years later, I was told by a friend that there was a pre-apprentice program at the time of Midwest Women, and this program is similar to what Chicago Women in Trade is doing. That they were looking for women to learn non-traditional jobs and work in the construction field. I went through that program because I had the time at that time I had the time to spend on that. And I reflected on the thought that when I was volunteer for Habitat for Humanity, the electricians were making more than I was with a college degree. And they didn't have to contend with having student loans to pay. So it was like, let me try this. I enjoyed working with my hands. I did, and I was sent to work at Burlington Northern Santa Fe Railroad until the electricians program called me. I was there at Burlington Northern for 4 years, another non-traditional job, and went into working. And the electricians called me. I resigned immediately from the railroad and went to work. Went to learn as an apprentice with Local 134. My journey was in that field for 16 years. So I can relate to women that are coming into the Pre-Apprenticeship program where we're at now and what we offer, because I was in that fork of the road and I made a decision that I never regret, because I really enjoy having a skill, learning that skill through the apprenticeship program, and being able to support my family in a decent way, earning a this decent wage, where when I became a single mother, I could rely on my income if there was no other income coming to me to help me. At Chicago Women in Trade, we've been around since 1981. We have been providing services as far as training women. We've been doing this for a long time. So it's been quite beneficial to be on this side of the fence, as I would say, advocating for women, recruiting women, and being a part of Illinois Works program, where we can offer programs that we have offered. We previously have offered night programs for women that are working who want to go into construction. We offer welding programs for women who are available in the daytime to attend welding class. And now Illinois Work has allowed us to have a day program where our women can come in, and we are presently in session with classes. In our third week of classes, women are here training now and experiencing hands-on experience for the construction industry. But what's unique about, and what we have been doing since 1987, is recruiting them. We know that women in low-income areas and women of color particularly may not know about the construction field. They're not hearing it as I did through my high school as a choice of career. They're not hearing it. They're not even looked at as a candidate because we're women. So what we're doing now is we're going on radio stations. We're using the media, the social media. We're also using every aspect of where women are. We have volunteers that take flyers when they're going to the nail salons. We go to the libraries. We call the libraries and we send emails because we want everyone to know we're here. This is a good training. This is a good career to look at for income. For a person having a high school diploma to go through a pre-apprentice program, pass a union entry test, and go get accepted into a union apprenticeship program, and to in 5 years be able to earn like $50 an hour is something that is a career-changing and a life-changing experience. So we're trying to do our best to make sure we reach that area and those constituents in low-income areas, women and women of color in particular, so they can get to these programs. We've been pretty successful in it. The class we have currently, we have about 25 women that we're now servicing. So we're hoping to keep them in the 3 weeks that we've had them. We've gotten good feedback about the experiences they've had. Last week, they spent the whole week at the Carpenters Union doing training. They had a wonderful experience with that. This week, they're here. They're doing what we call job readiness programs, where they are learning about, they're getting CPR training, first aid training. They're learning about history of women in the trades. So we have a curriculum that we've been doing since 1987, and they're learning and they're experiencing with hands-on experience, and they're going to be at the Ironworkers next week. But to get these women and to retain them, during the interview process, we ask about their barriers. We ask what would help you be successful in this program? What would prevent you from being successful in this program? We talk about, do you have proper transportation? Do you have children? Do you have child care for the child? And we try to make sure we support whatever their needs are, because our interest is for them to start and end with us so they can go on and be successful. So not only do we address their barriers as soon as we meet them, we also speak honestly about the field in itself. We take them through physical conditioning here, but we also have to let them know this is a serious part of working in career in construction, because we don't want injuries. We want you to be able to carry a ladder, carry a bundle of conduit, and also bend and do things that require you to squat on the job. So we take them through physical conditioning. We let them know during the interview process. That's an important aspect, besides learning the math and knowing the tools and getting a hands-on experience. You have to be ready mentally and physically. Some of the union apprenticeship programs, you have to pass tests of lifting objects and putting them on shelf that may weigh up to 50 to 75 pounds. Some of them require you to do a squeeze test where you have to squeeze and make sure you are closing the, I can't remember the thing that they use, but we have to have them physically conditioned so they can do that and pass that. So we try to make sure we identify all of their needs, address them, not only in a classroom, but in physically conditioning them and speaking with them and making sure we know that whatever's in their life that's going to be a barrier, we address that. We've been successful at this for a long time. And if you have any questions about our program, if there's anything we need to help you with, we're here to do that. You can always call us. I'm going to turn this over now to Melverda, and thank you all.
Be able to speak a little bit about what we have here going on in Decatur and a little bit about my background. So thank you for joining this Lunch and Learn today. So just a little bit about me. I take a little bit of different perspective of the highway construction portion of it. I actually worked up for the mining and construction division at Caterpillar Incorporated, and I did that for over 20 years. And I started in the HR, so I did the recruiting for engineering, for weld engineering, for factory laborers, CNC operators, specialty skills. So I'm familiar in that aspect. Also, when I worked in the area of capital, where they had capital production, I noticed that the union workers pretty much all looked the same. Very few women at all. I was thinking about that when Renee and Dominique was speaking, and I was like, did we actually have any women that were working at the facility as union workers? And the African Americans, I can really count on one hand. So there just wasn't a lot of, in this area, a lot of skilled trade union workers that were a part of any of the apprentice programs. We had our own apprentice program, which was electrical. And I can tell you that I did not see any in the 20 years that I worked there. So bringing people in this area, in the downstate area, to be a part of this or to be able to gain access to union is really huge for me, because I know that we are definitely at a deficit with this. Some of the things that, you know, I did at Caterpillar, again, on the other side of the spectrum, was because we build this type of equipment, heavy equipment, construction equipment, all of those, even when we would go down, you know, in the proving grounds, and we would get, you know, workers and people to working there. I can tell you the all aspect of that, of building what those machines are and those equipments. When you see those machines on the side of the road or working where that's me. I'm a project change engineer, and basically in a new product introduction. So whatever was new, whatever was going on in that mining field or in that construction field, I was part of creating new processes and new structures to be able to make that area more sufficient. So that's what I did, and I worked with the change with people and new engineering structures in the mining construction business. So that's kind of my perspective of it. I wasn't union, I was a management worker that supervised union workers. So my perspective is different. I also did technical training. So I trained and I found training and applied training that they needed on the job, or to learn a new job or to learn our system. So that's pretty much what my background is in this field that, again, even as an engineer, you will not see very many minorities even on this side of the table. So that is something that I would like to do, and I would like to really promote, is for people to understand that there is a way to earn an excellent an excellent income, to be able to flourish in this operation, in this part, because I think maybe a lot of times people don't understand or don't know that there's opportunities out here, and there's opportunities that you can grow in, and that you can be a part of the union, or even the wages that the union jobs pay, or because when you look outside and you see these large construction projects that are going on in your town or city, and you don't see anyone that looks like you, as a young individual, I question, do they even know that? Where my grandson is going to school, they just built a brand new school, and I went to the project where they were building, and there was absolutely no minorities there at all. So for him to look out of his window of the old school and see that, that may not be something that he think is an opportunity for him, but I want him to know that that's an opportunity. And also young girls, period, knowing that they can go into a construction field, knowing that they can see somebody like Dominique Jones, who actually went to college and received a construction degree. That is so huge, because we're just not seeing that. And so that's a change that I would like to make. That's a huge transformational change. So one of the things that we've been doing is we've been, getting on the radio. We've been on our social media constantly talking about. Right now, it's the subject.
Your mic went out.
Alberta, we're not able to hear you.
Melverta, we can't hear
Melverta?
you.
I'm sorry, Melverta, we were not able to hear you. You cut out for just a minute there.
Oh, okay. So I'm just talking about letting women know that there's more to learning and things that they can learn to make a great career, other than maybe the traditional nursing, teaching, and things like that, that they may just be guided towards, but that they can look more into the construction area, the union jobs, and things like that, to help build a great living for their families, and then also a career that they could be proud of and that they can invest in. So that's kind of my take on that. One of my biggest skill sets is that I'm a Six Sigma black belt, and I promote change, and I'm really huge in change, and I'm using some of that methodology here to make sure that we can promote what we need to promote to get this out there. Even the training, learning that, I think this is huge. I'm new to this side of the fence, but I'm absolutely loving it, absolutely having a good time, learning all about this side of the fence, and then also bringing people in so that they understand and they know what it is that we're doing and the things that we can offer, and how huge this opportunity is to be able to connect with the union and to be a part of something bigger than what they're used to. And we are located in an area that's considered, an area of disparity, low income, low internet, the broadband, low everything. So it is definitely a challenge, but it's a challenge that we are up for. It's a challenge that we are excited to, because if we can make this change just in a few people, that I know that it will ignite, and it will just cause all kinds of wonderful things in this community. And it's great to be a part of that. So I definitely thank you all again for this opportunity. And I thank our host, Christine, as well. and for what they are doing to make these things happen and make these things possible. So at this time, I'm going to go ahead and change and turn over to Christine.
Great. Well, thank you all. I really enjoyed hearing all your backgrounds, hearing kind of your journeys to get to where you are today. So we are going to now shift into our Q&A period. So please, any of our attendees, if you have questions, please feel free to put them in the chat, and I will grab them and then I will ask our panelists. If you have a question for a specific panelist, please put that in your message as well. We did have a few questions that came in, so I'm going to start with those as our attendees are typing in our chat. So the first one was, and this is for all three of you, in your experience, what are the largest barriers to your female pre-apprentices transitioning into apprenticeship programs? So I will leave that to anyone who wants to kick off an answer.
I would say the home life barriers is number one. Childcare and transportation. The two of the biggest barriers that we're facing with most times was we require them to have a driver's license. We inform them that they really do need a car because transportation may not go every place they need to once they get into a union program. But we do work with them. We set up carpools. In fact, we're waiting for a map because one of the really interesting things you can do to help students that are not without transportation is to get a map, put pinpoints on where all the students live at in their classroom so they can know how they can coordinate rides. This will work as long as they're going through the training program, but we inform them that they have to really get a reliable transportation once they complete it so they can go through these, apply for the unions and be able to make their. The factor about childcare, as I was a mother with young children, it's hard to find daycare that opens at 6 o'clock in the morning. If you have to be at job at 7 o'clock, that you have to find a daycare center that opens at 6 o'clock and the people are going to be there so you can be at work on time. So I know those are two of the factors that's really hard. And another factor is they have to understand too, mentally, you have to have the confidence to go into this field. Non-tradition is dominated by white males, and you have to be able to work out there and know how to deal with harassment and any other isms that's coming to you through working in that field. So there are a lot of other things that we haven't gotten into that they do have to face, but those are two of the biggest barriers of people entering the programs now.
Yeah, and I just want to piggyback off of Renee Jones. We're still trying to figure out exactly what those barriers are for our pre-apprentice participants. So, but just speaking from my experience and what I believe could be a major barrier with women in construction in general is just overall mental health. Like Renee mentioned, you have to be mentally strong in this industry because when you walk out there, you're literally looking around and there's no one that looks like you. So that takes a different type of mental strength to stay with that. But I also believe that we have to do a better job at making newbies feel isolated, like they don't have anyone to talk to when things happen in these situations. So I believe that it's up to us, like the people who are in this industry, the people of this grant, to set in place a comfortable outlet for when our grant participants feel that microaggression, or they might face inappropriate sexual advances on site. Like, these are just realistic things that happen on site. So they have to know how to internalize it, and they have to know that they matter to where they have the confidence to speak up for themselves so that they could feel comfortable in their work environment. At the end of the day, you want women to feel comfortable in their work environment, and that starts with their mental health.
So I definitely agree with what both Renee and Dominique have said. and some of the things that I've seen that have been issues and barriers is just the plain fear of the non-traditional and not having it that this is something that they've been told that they could do in a career field, or seeing other people, women, doing these types of things. So there's just a fear of the unknown and the fear of the non-traditional. And that's why I want to do more with just letting them know that, hey, let's just crowd this field. It's so wide open for all of us right now. And so that you don't need to really house that fear. But if you bring in more and more women and more people who they can relate to, then that will take away a lot of that. And then just the lack of knowledge. I just didn't have the knowledge of this career field, or I didn't know that women were being targeted to do this, and what fields are out there, what type of non-traditional fields can they be a part of. So I think just the lack of knowledge is one of the biggest issues or barriers that I've seen. And then just understanding that it is labor intensive sometimes, and there's a lot of time that you will have to put into this, and then making sure that your family structure is okay with you being a part of this. Because honestly, the type of work, the hands-on, the being in the different types of weather, different types of things like that is an uncomfortable in itself. But if we know and understand that and going into that, that would help us with that. So that's my take on it.
Great, thank you all. And a question related to you all touched on as far as facing microaggressions, facing certain situations on the work site. What ways can our grantee programs kind of create that sense of community? What strategies do your programs use to build those kind of internal strength factors in your participants so that they feel comfortable kind of speaking about those to their fellow apprentices or advocating for themselves? If you can, any of you can speak to that.
Because we have such a long history of experience. One of the reasons our organization was founded is because we wanted to develop a sisterhood, a place where women can come and we can advocate for each other, and we also can vent and discuss what's going on. So everyone that comes out of our program, as soon as we have tradeswomen that come back here that has graduated from program from years ago and speak to our classroom. And anyone, if they say they want to be a plumber, that message goes out to all the women plumbers that have come through our programs. They meet here sometimes, and we have a tradeswomen council that meet. So we have women that mentor other women as they go in the field. So they always have a place to come. Our doors are open now, especially with COVID restrictions going on, where our tradeswomen come in this office and come in just to say hi that are out in the field. What's going on? Let me go into the classroom and speak with them. But once they decide on what their majoring, what their career choice is, we have the women to come in to support them and speak with them about that. And when they're out in the field, they know they have someone, they have exchange of numbers, or they have someone that they can call back. And we also, for all those women out there, we have sessions on evenings and afternoons. We have boxing. You come in here, you need to hit something. We have boxing every the last Wednesday of each month. We have counseling services where we have virtually, they get a chance to vent about what's going on in their lives. We have a mental wellness clinic for them to go to monthly. So we're trying to provide everything for the women that are coming through and the women that are out there, because we're a sisterhood and we want to keep it going and growing in that way.
Well, thank you, Renee, for that. That was very insightful. So the way that we plan on strategizing to help basically prepare our participants for real life situations in the field, like Milberta said, like sometimes a lot of our participants, they lack that education. They lack the knowledge. So I think it's very important. What we plan on doing is basically letting them know that it will happen, like as far as microaggression, as far as inappropriate language, or them just feeling uncomfortable, like it's going to happen. And I think that if you be real with them and just be authentic about it and just preparing them for when it does happen, then they won't feel the mental strain or just the frustration of not knowing what to do in those situations. So you just have to prepare them for those situations, because it's not that it's not going to happen, it will happen. So they just have to be prepared. So that's anything from just coaching them through legally what you can do if you feel that you're in a situation that's unfair or that's making an inappropriate sexual advance towards you. So you just have to give them that knowledge and give them that education so that they know what steps to take next when they feel uncomfortable, because it will happen. So I just think it's so important that you have to let them know while we have them in our classes that these are the things that you are going to face. However, we're not going to leave you hanging, because these are the steps that you take when you do face them.
And thank you so much for that, Dominique, and for Renee. Those are great. Those are great learning. I'm taking notes, because that is definitely something that when you do target women, realizing and having that straight talk with them about, hey, this is real. You know, this is a great opportunity. This is a great job. This is a great learning experience. But the things that happen in this world is real when it comes to women. You know, I explain that a lot to even some of the women that work here, what it's like to be the only person, the only woman in a room, you know, and sometimes you have to stand up, you know, like they'll say, you know, oh, you seem kind of hard. Well, sometimes you have to be hard, right? You have to put all of that nice, sweet stuff up, and you have to stand up and you just say, hey, that was my idea you just took. I said it 10 minutes ago, right? And so being in that world, you have to stand up to let them know I'm a part of this team too, and I want to be here. And one of the things that we focus on is personal development. We have a training, because training is my background. I actually have a training organization called PMTDI, and we have personal development that we share with them that they can just use online or on their phone. Or we also have classes where we invite the community in to come and do these, whether it's, you know, in diversity, or if it's in how to get along well with others, anger management, all of those types of things. So we offer those classes, and in those classes, we do have those candid conversations. So that's what we do now. And so as we begin to advance, and we do have more women involved, and we are bringing in some of the non-traditional, we'll increase that. And I'm going to do that just based off of what Renee and Dominique said, because what you guys are doing as trailblazers is absolutely phenomenal. And I definitely am learning from that.
Fantastic. I completely agree. And I think we're all going to end up at Chicago Women in Trades to go boxing.
We love you all to come. Love you. Because especially during our sexual harassment, because we do the role playing, because you know, we need to really get them armed on how you say things, and when you say them, and when you walk away. So it's good that I would invite everyone to come down and see us.
Absolutely. So we're gonna, our next question kind of shifts gears a little bit and is more focused on outreach and recruitment. So are there specific recruitment strategies that you have found work better for female apprentices? If so, what are some of those strategies?
I know for us, like I said, we're more of a pilot program, but what we noticed was that when we start to put out marketing information that had like my face or another woman in construction's face on it, more females tend to be attracted to that. So I think that the only way that you could get them interested is that if they can relate to the marketing material. So whatever marketing material that you put in out there, just make sure it's relatable to women. So, and then also reaching out to women-specific groups, like Sister Girls. I'm sorry, what's your organization name? I don't want to mess it up.
Sister Girls and Friends.
Right, so Sister Girls and Friends, you know that that is a group for girls and for sisters. So you want to reach out to those organizations that are women specific and reach out to them with women specific marketing. So that's our plan. It's been working so far, and that's what we plan on sticking to.
Our most successful venue of marketing for women was the radio and TV. Once an interview was done with ABC, we also had VON and WGCI. Our phones rang off the hook. We had to answer phones constantly for a good week and a half behind that publicity. And we got an onslaught of people, women especially, and we even had men calling that we had to divert them to other organizations. But the media is an important way of getting that message out. We did not have such a strong field feedback from social media, but I think that's coming too, because we're asking our students presently in real time to take their pictures and do a little video and post it on their pages so other women can see them learning this career. So we're hoping to get a lot more for our next cohort of women, and especially women of color, and especially women in low income areas. So we're trying in every way to meet our younger generation where they're at. And taking flyers to nail salons, which are full of them, is another way we're trying to reach them. And going to churches, we're calling the neighborhood libraries, and we're sending flyers so they can post them. So we're doing which way we can meet people in their communities and where they're at so we can get them.
Targeting specifically women and women of color. So we're trying to see how that's going to fare with us. I definitely think it's going to be a little bit of a challenge in this area, but we've planned different things. TikTok, social media is so huge. So that's what we're doing. We're trying to get TikTok videos together and, different things like that. We're going through and we're posting daily so that we can get our information out there. But I definitely love the idea of getting someone that's already in this field and then showing them or highlighting them. So I think that's something that I'm going to incorporate in with what we're doing. And then I also like the PR with the interview with the media. So maybe that'll also be something that will interject in there. What we did on yesterday is we created a job fair, and we had all women recruiters who were here, and they came in. We had quite a few people that came in and signed up for our program. Unfortunately, most of them were men, but we're gonna try, to make a change for that. But all the women came in, all the recruiters were women. And it was just absolutely a phenomenal day with the things that we were able to share with each other. Of course, like I said, it was opened up to the whole community. A lot of women came in, listened to a lot of the things that were said, but again, we did not have a huge influx of women to sign up for our program. But we're not giving up. And again, what I've learned today is going to be phenomenal for our next moves and the things that we do. And so thank you, Renee, and thank you, Dominique, again.
You're welcome.
Well, thank you all for those answers. And we just have one more question. And again, this is for all three of you. But what is one piece of advice you would give women interested in the construction industry or thinking about joining a pre-apprenticeship program?
That's a good one. I would give them the same advice that I was given. And like I mentioned in my intro, I would tell them that they're looking for you. They're specifically looking for you. And if you choose this industry, and if you make it through all the adversity and all the challenges, you will shine in this industry. Not only will you shine in this industry, but it is a very lucrative industry. And you will start to create actual generational wealth within this industry. And you would take your skill, you would take your trade with you for the rest of your life, and you could go anywhere in life with that skill and with that trade, and no one can ever take that from you. And you can make your own business from that trade. So it's so much bigger than what we're giving them right now. So I want them to see like the bigger picture. So I want to advise them on look at the bigger picture of what this pre-apprenticeship program is doing for you and the doors that it will open for you for the rest of your life.
My advice is, first of all, to learn your craft really well, and that have confidence in what you do. And you should feel that wherever you plant your feet, you belong. It's important that they have the confidence. It's important that they learn the craft. And it's important that they come back whenever they need the support they need. I'm proud of the fact that the women that we have graduated are doing so well that we have people that come back from contractors that say, send us more. Because they have a reputation of doing what they're supposed to do. We've talked to them enough, and we've taught them enough, and we've gotten them physically conditioned to do the work. So I just ask that they learn when they're out there and plant their feet down and know that they belong there, whatever they're up against, have the confidence to stand strong and do the work. So that's my biggest thing that we can say to our people that's coming to the program. You belong.
Wonderful. What Renee and Dominique said again. And then what I would add to that is this is a very unique and a very different career course. And it's every career has its challenges, and it has barriers that we have to go through. We need to find those barriers and then attack them head on, and to understand what those challenges mean to you and what those challenges mean to your family, and move forward in that. So and just really just, you don't have to change who you are or what you do to be a part of this field. You just need to want to do it, to be able to learn a skill and to be invested in it. So, basically, if you want to be in this field, if you want just to be yourself and to bring all your skills and talents to it. So if you can't be yourself, be a unicorn, and this is where unicorns are successful.
Well, thank you to all three of you, Dominique, Renee, and Milverta, for joining us on our panel today and as part of our inaugural Lunch and Learn session today. And thank you all again to our attendees for joining. Just a reminder, as I said at the beginning, these are going to be monthly sessions. If you have ideas on what you want to see in these sessions, topics that you want to learn more about, please feel free to email me. And then my last little plug is we do have an event tomorrow. It is our second event for Women in Construction Week, which goes until this Saturday. But our event tomorrow is at 11 a.m. It is a public forum. We are going to be joined again by Miss Dominique Jones, as well as several other women who are going to be talking about the demographics of our Illinois construction field. So we're going to be kind of walking through the representation of women in different building trades, and then talking about how we at DCEO and how women across the state are working to address that gender inequity. So I will leave it at that. Thank you again all for coming. Thank you to our panel, and have a good rest of your day. Thank you so much. Bye-bye.
Thanks, everyone. Bye.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you.